Hello, this is the recap of the session, of the Bund session, the morning session. And it's August the 26th, the first day of the week and the last week of this month. So, end of summer holiday here on Bavaria. There are only 2 weeks left now. And today was holiday in the UK. That means a little bit lack of liquidity, a thin order book. That of course then if people then trade anyway leads to a higher volatility. So we already saw this in the pre-market. So my hypos started with this sentence because this is important for me, that you also know how your plays work in a certain market mood. And the 2 days market mood wasn't good for my place. So already high vola in the pre-market, thin order book, and high volatility. Of course, there are a lot of things that traders can be afraid these days. As the trade war, for example, that escalates at the Friday and the weekend with Trump's new tweet storm. So not so good for the volatility. Stock were dropping down and down. And today morning, some information then from the White House that the Chinese phoned again the trading negotiators to get back to talks and a little bit take a breath for the market and recovering. You see that then in the DAX in the morning, and Bund made some streak trending down on Friday, higher, even in the overnight market. You can see this here in the evening and overnight market and building a overnight distribution, not one but even two. And then in the pre-market, and everything fell down again. So that was not confirmed by volume, of course, of the weaker times of trading, of the Asia of the night session. My hypos so far at the moment, and I wrote this around 8:20. We have some range long levels, of course, the lower pre-market volume edge, the 70 and also the 178.54. So this was my range long level within this profiles. Hypo 2 short only if increasing sell volume into the 54 again. So 54 for me, a very important level. And so we're looking here for the short with weak pullback holding targets 47.40, even the 28 to 24. This would be then the yesterday main VPOC. All right, and the hypo 3. For the uncertain case at the moment where I prepared it, that we see rising volume into the overnight low, the 81 level, and only weak pullback and holding. We may see the targets 91.02. So 81 here, this edge at the pre-market, and then we have the chance to get back into this distribution. But of course, market was already seen it a little bit different as they played it this way. That means in the pre-market already my range long level was played here, and I go back a little bit. You see this here, our levels here from the pre-market, the 54 level, and this was the level from the edge from the morning and from the late evening session where we saw accumulation. You can see it here, this accumulation area here, delta, people sold until it sold, and then boom, buyers coming back. So important to know that at this moment that this was my hypo 1 and they took on this trade, but I didn't play it, of course, in the pre-market. But you see this responsive selling already started at this edge here, then here again and again. So they filled out this value again and we traded through. The second time, remember my hypo number 2, increasing selling volume into the 54. Look at this, see this, testing it, boom, increasing selling volume, weak pullback, but already before the cash open. And also see this high volatility, not so usual for Bund here that we see a 12 tick within 30 seconds move without news, but this is just due to a very thin order book. Reaching my target 1 and almost 2 area with the open then. So no trade. Anyway, the hypo was played, of course, that means our hypo number 1 here, but already in the pre-market. And then hypo number 2, but already in the pre-market. And the targets were reached so far, but at the end, nothing to do. So we waited. They opened up. And then after the open, you see they testing a little bit lower, and got rejected at this area. Means here around the area of the initial balance low, taken out. We saw some strong low here at the moment. Prices gotten back to the upside, and I said, we want to see that they find some balance where we can trade, because my prepared levels were already taken out. So the hypos we looked for were already played. So nothing to do, but if we get into the balanced market, I will look for range trading. But a balanced market did not appear. No, what we can see then is that the market was a very high volatility and a typical algo dominated place around the at the moment POC of the day. Zigzag and delta, mixtape, big numbers red, big numbers green, big numbers red, switching from green to red, from green to red, some typical behavior in some kind of algo dominated or a thinner liquid market where some trading taken place though. And no trades for me. No trades for me. Then with the numbers, the German numbers here at this moment, the IFO climate, which shows us that the automobile sector wins, but engineering and techniques are decrease. Bad numbers, but overall good numbers, had some negative impacts. Good for stocks, bad for the Bund. Well, you see, nothing to make out of some trade, no information for me. And also no, the liquidity and the thin order book is not good market mood for my trend plays or range plays. Anyway, one could have gotten the trades because the spikes wasn't so big. The stop sometimes would have worked. Anyway, you make some decision and need to be reasonable, and you can say, I can make lucrative trades, and if you say, no, I cannot in this environment, then you don't take on trades. Please don't do this. Markets then was in some kind of mood where I told you, we may look now to this lower side, to the strong low, but expect we need to see increasive selling volume to get into a short trade. And look what happened at this moment. Now we'll spread it a little bit so you can see it closer. At this moment when we're reaching the strong low of the day, means the 31 area, there was another target at the downside, but very close at the 24. Remember the yesterday VPOC. So this area here. So no good target for me because it was very close for a trend. And even then the second target, that means the lower distribution edge here around the 18 area, is not so super far. But anyway, worth a trade, but not in this case, because look how delta reacts. Once we taken out this lower micro edge, which wasn't so important for me, I wanted to see that here at the low, which was of course first a strong low, we want to see an increase of selling volume. Look how delta showed us that there are more people buying at the low, than selling. So this is no sign for initiative selling. And funny thing, the little selling that took place here in this streak led to 10 ticks lower prices. Means weak sellers hit a thin order book. And this is the reason why we anyway saw some 10 ticks lower prices. But if you, and I told you here, if you're looking now for a trade, I would, if it would be a normal market, okay, with a normal order book, not so thin, but a normal thickness, I would look here more for the long. But I knew that we are in a thin order book market mood. I'm not even look here, anyway, I don't even look here for a long trade. What's then the result of it? Of course, I stayed flat because this huge delta divergence showed me just people may fish for liquidity. They push people into the shorts here, pushing it into the shorts. But overall, you see, thank you, buying, thank you, buying, thank you, buying, thank you, buying, thank you, buying big. So, the second leg. Overall, this was more an ongoing delta divergence. And you see, it was just caused by the thin order book that prices fell down lower. With a normal order book, the market wouldn't have reacted this way. Because if we have normally 300, 400 contracts per price level in the Bund, then you won't see this with this delta divergence setting in. You either see very much more sellers then saying, okay, now we're in the selling mood, or you see they give up already here and we don't see this stair steps to the downside, but already starting at this level maybe around, boom, to get back and find balance. Overall, for me, then I said, if you're looking for a long, you need to have a very wide stop, which made obviously no sense because then is a bad risk reward of less than 1. So no trade again, but you see the short didn't took us far, only to the 24 to 22 level. So to the Friday epoch here. And then the prices already got rejected. So no good risk reward. As again, order book is thin, you need more space for your stop. So what happened? Of course, what have to happen? If there is no real selling interest and we have an ongoing delta divergence, if this moment very impressive and here as well, we will see prices going back and test, of course, then the area of the volume edge, which is at the moment here at the 38 level, which was at this moment when I told you, if you're looking technically for the long, the 40 level. So this is now what we see. Prices testing now and building, testing this lower volume edge, looking if there's some interested even again in buyers to have a chance to get back in the overall market to the at the moment PUC, which by the way has not shifted to the downside. You see, price follows here the value and not opposite when you see in a real trend day that they build value. But if you're going now with James Dalton and he says price is an advertising mechanism and price advertises all opportunity and then time regulates that opportunity. So time regulates that opportunity for the short, but volume at the end measures the success of or failure of those opportunities. One has to say clearly, do you see this? That volume does not give us the confirmation that this short is in a good position to reach in the targets. And as I'm speaking, we see that this mechanism of the market, the auction theory, worked out again as prices finally reaching this area of low volume as the delta divergence took on and took the price again, let's say here to this lower volume node, because there was no real interest in selling at this time. So that's for me today. I stayed flat, no trade, because wrong market mood for my place. But of course, one could have made, even in the cash session, some good ticks with this place, with her play, that is good for this kind of market. Thanks for watching. This is Anton Höpfe for Manapa Trading.